Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. I am Will Thomas. Merry Christmas to everybody. And now that we've had our one day of fun, let's get right back to it. The transfer portal in college football is still going off, and we have some coaching news on the Michigan front that came out this morning, and that's what I want to lead the show with. So Michigan, they are zeroing in on the former Utah coach Kyle Whittingham. Now, Michigan and Penn State, both in their searches, they've gone from total disasters to are they even going to hire a coach? Who is in charge of this, and do they know that they are in charge of it? To they're both making really good hires. I mean, I love Matt Campbell at Penn State, and Michigan, assuming they do close in and finish off this deal with Kyle Whittingham, I mean, I think this is a absolute home run. It is a total culture shift immediately. Going from a guy who was kind of more undisciplined, offensive-minded like Sharon Moore, and then you bring in Kyle Whittingham, who's this experienced, hard-nosed, stick-your-face-in-it, defensive-minded guy who's going to totally shift the entire mentality of that program. It's incredible. It's a guy that I respect a ton, and he's going to have the right culture in place immediately. And what Whittingham does, right, when you're looking at a job like Michigan in a situation, obviously you know that you need to fix the culture. But there's the other side of that where we also want to win football games. And do those things go hand in hand? And in college football, they don't always go hand in hand. And that's just kind of the reality of it. But getting Whittingham, it does. Do I think that he can maybe win the Big Ten next year? No. Do I think that they can win 10 games next year? Probably not. Because you are going to have to deal with all that roster attrition. You got to find out if Bryce Underwood likes Whittingham. That's TBD there. But in the long run, he solves both the winning issues and the culture issues. He has proven that he is a mastermind in both of those aspects through his time at Utah. So bringing him into Michigan, now for Whittingham too, he gets a shot at a blue blood job. Right, he's been at Utah forever, just kind of been quietly dominating things over there on the West Coast. But now that he gets a shot to be the coach at Michigan at a big time job, I'm really excited to see what it looks like. I am talking like this is a done deal. It's not. It's not finalized yet. I'm talking like it is a done deal, but I don't want to mislead. There's just zeroing on him, right? He's just the focus of their search, but it is not guaranteed yet. But if Whittingham does end up in Michigan, I think it's a home run. Total home run. I think it works out incredibly well for both sides because you get Whittingham moving up to a blue blood job, and you get Michigan bringing in a hard-nosed, defensive-minded guy who is going to have the culture right and just have everything the way that Michigan is supposed to be. Right, I mean, I made a video a little bit ago making fun of the term Michigan man. Like, what is that supposed to be? I think Whittingham could reestablish that and make Michigan very respectable once again. So that's it for Whittingham. Let's just get back into the portal. Got 5 guys I wanted to highlight. First is Quinton Weisner. Coming out of Texas, he is at running back. He carried the ball 131 times for 597 this year. That's just fine. But you go back to last year, he carried the ball 226 for over 1,000 yards last season. So it's really, he just lost some volume. Whether that was due to health issues or just the room being crowded, whatever the reason was, that to me explains the drop-off in production. So he's incredibly experienced. He is a leader at that running back position with how old he is, just how vocal he is. And Texas's running back room is going to be totally reworked this year. They have 4 backs hitting the portal. So we'll see what that looks like heading into next fall. But for Trey, I mean, he should be pretty well coveted. I don't know if he gets sought after by, a big school to be their standalone running back one. But he's going to be sought after enough to where he'll be a good contributor at a solid school, just the same way that he was with Texas this past year. But Trey is very talented. Some health issues a little bit, nothing to really worry about, but Trey should be at a pretty good spot next year. Now, a guy who I think could maybe just be stepping in to replace him, Cam Cook, coming up from Jacksonville State, another running back. He carried the ball 295 times for 1,659 yards and 16 scores this past season, averaging 5.6 yards per carry. He was the leading rusher in the sport. But being at Jacksonville State, you didn't get a lot of eyes on him. But he's been leading the country in rushing since week 4. I remember when I was first pushing the Ahmad Hardy, look, this guy really is legit. I'm looking at the rushing leaderboards, and Cam Cook's just dominating him all the way back then. Cam Cook is an awesome rusher. He wasn't in the national spotlight this year. I'm thinking he will be next year because he's originally from Texas. And I brought up how the Longhorns, they need some backs now. They're losing 4 in the portal as of right now. I think Cam Cook is a big-time contender to go to Austin, Texas, replace that hole that Weisner and the other guys are leaving. I mean, Cam Cook is going to get a lot of money this year, and he's going to get a lot of exposure at whichever school he ends up at. I'm so excited to see him play at a higher level of college football. Cam Cook, named to watch for every big school who might be in the market for a running back. Up next, Solomon Williams. He's an edge rusher coming out of Texas A&M. He was a 4-star in the class of 2024, originally from Tampa, and he hasn't put up very many stats in 2 years with the Aggies. But during his recruiting time, other than A&M, he took official visits to Oregon, Texas, Alabama, and in-state UCF. So we'll see where he ends up. There isn't much intel yet on where he might go, but he's a talented guy. You get a 4-star edge rusher, a blue-chip edge rusher coming from 2 years ago, who's been able to kind of have these years of just sort of sitting, right, and watching. Because when you have guys like Cassius Howell in front of you, it's hard to play. So I think he's got all the talent in the world. The question is, has he been patient enough? Has he still been developing while being patient to go be an immediate contributor somewhere else? Those 4 schools he OV'd to, they could all use him. I mean, Texas less so. You already got Colin Simmons there. But a school like UCF, Solomon could come to his home state of Florida, go play for UCF, and sort of as like a stepping stone back up to a bigger program for his senior year. We'll see what happens. But Solomon Williams is a name to watch because I think he could do whichever one he wants. I think he could either go to another bigger school, maybe be the second edge rusher there and try and work his way up to that number 1 spot, or he could go to a smaller school like a UCF or maybe a non-power school, dominate there, and then come back up for his senior year. But we'll see what he decides to do. Trey Wilson is leaving Florida after being one of the most exciting receivers as a freshman a few years ago in the country. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy at all. In his freshman year, he caught 61 passes for 538 yards and 6 scores. He's been having those numbers since. And this year he showed flashes when he was healthy and when he was kind of their number 1 receiver. He was electric in space. He had a great game against Georgia for the Gators. He just hasn't quite been able to put it all together since his freshman year. And even that freshman year, he was banged up. So he really is one of the most exciting receivers in the portal because of what he's proven that he can do and what his tape shows that he can do. And Texas Tech is a school to watch for Trey already in this process. I think that'd be a pretty good fit. You get Trey into a high-flying offense out there in Lubbock. You get him as one of the maybe number 1 or number 2 receivers. I'm just imagining Trey Wilson and Micah Hudson running routes together. Horrifying. But Texas Tech is a school to watch for Trey Wilson. I think it's a good match. I don't really blame Trey for looking for a new spot. I think he could have had a lot of success at Florida this next season, but the Gators, they are pretty confident in retaining Dallas Wilson and Vernell Brown III. So if you're in Trey's spot there, you can do better elsewhere. So that's what he's going to do. I respect for the young man. If he does go Texas Tech, I think that's going to be a big-time move for him. Obviously, he'll be getting paid with the Red Raiders, but also he'll be in a high-flying offense. He'll be one of the better receivers, and it could be a massive career upgrade for Trey Wilson. And the last guy I'm talking about today is A.J. Green, an edge coming from Louisville. He had 31 tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble this year. He's 6'6", 250. This guy's an absolute train coming off the edge of the offensive line. He's originally from Atlanta, but just with that size and with the athleticism that we've seen him put on tape already throughout his career, he can really play at any level of the sport. I go back to what I said about Solomon Williams here. A.J. Green could either go to a non-power school, dominate, continue to develop, just kind of take 1 year where you're not really in the national spotlight and then move back up next year, or you could just immediately go to a big school this year and just sort of deal with being maybe not the number 1 guy, maybe not the dominant guy. I think A.J. Green can do both of those also. So we'll see what he does. Being from Atlanta originally, maybe he comes back south, plays for a school like maybe a Georgia Tech. Will Kirby Smart give him a look? Who knows? But A.J. Green, he could play at either level of the sport, whether it's big schools or small schools. We'll see what he decides to do. And that's it for this episode of Tailgate Talk SEC. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, please subscribe, leave a comment. I have been Will Thomas, and I will see you next time.